Okay, now let's talk about few more types of mortgage-backed securities. There is a concept of stripped mortgage-backed securities. Uh, the these mortgage-backed securities where there are only two bond classes, and the rule for the distribution of interest and principal is simple. One bond class receives all of the principal and one bond class receives all of the interest. This kind of mortgage-backed security is called the st- stripped mortgage-backed security. The bond class that receives all of the principals is called the principal only class, or the PO class, and the bond class that receives the only interest, which we already discussed, is called the interest only class. These securities are also called mortgage strips. The POs are called principal only mortgage strips, and IOs are called interest only mortgage strips. We have already seen interest only type mortgage based securities, the structured IOs. This is a product that is created within a CMO structure. Structured IO is created from the excess interest, i.e., difference between interest paid on the collateral and interest paid to the bond classes. There is no corresponding PO class within the CMO structure. In contrast, in stripped mortgage-backed securities, the IO class is created by simply specifying that all interest payments to be made to that class. Then the principal only strips. So let's talk about the principal only strips. A principal only mortgage strip is purchased as a substantial discount from par value. The return an investor realizes depends on the speed at which the prepayments are made. The faster the prepayment, the higher the investor's return, right? Why? Because, for example, if you pay 400 million and the market value for the mortgage is also 400 million, suppose uh, further there the market value of just the principal payment is 175 million. The dollar return from this investment is the difference between the par value that will be repaid to the investor in the principal mortgage strip and the 175, uh, right? Since there is no interest that will be paid, so your return will be 225 million. In extreme case, if all homeowners in the underlying mortgage pool decided to prepay their mortgage loans immediately, the PO investor will receive 225 million immediately. So its return is 225 million today. At the other extreme, if all the homeowners decide to remain in their homes until 30 years, then you will realize those 225 in 30 years, right? So return in principal only or a PO strip depends on the speed of the payment. On the other hand, interest only strip uh, has no par value in contrast to the PO investor. The IO investor wants prepayments to be slow. Why? Because when the receives interest only amount, when prepayments are made, less dollar interest will be received as the outstanding principal declines. In fact, if prepayments are too fast, the IO investor may not recover the amount paid for the IO even if the security is held to maturity. Right? So these have to be slow, right? The principal payments need to be slow. The relation between the mortgage rate and the PO and IO trenches can be understood through this interesting graph. When mortgage rates decline below the contract rate, right? Let's assume that mortgage rates decline below the contract rate, and uh, let's say the contract rate is 9%, right? Okay. When they decline below 9%, prepayments are expected to speed up, accelerating payments to the PO investor. Thus, the cash flow of a PO investor in the sense that principal payments are received earlier, right? So you can see a PO, right? So the cash flow for a PO improves. The cash flow will be discounted at a lower interest rate because the mortgage rate in the market has declined. The result in that the PO price will increase when mortgage rates decline, right? So if the mortgage rate decline, PO price will increase, right? So this is the PO, right? So let's suppose 9%. When rates go below this, this will increase. Why? Because there is more money coming in, and also that more money is discounted back at a lower rate, lower prevailing market rate. It's reverse for the interest only strips. If mortgage rates decline below the contract rate, prepayments are expected to accelerate. This would result in a deterioration of the expected cash flow for IO. While the cash flow will be discounted at a lower rate, the net effect typically is a decline in the price of IO. If the mortgage rates rise above the contract rate, the expected cash flow improves, but the cash flow is discounted at a higher rate. The net effect may either a rise or a fall in IO, right? Thus, as we see this graph, uh, this is not not going much higher. Is not going much higher, right? Okay. The second thing we need to discuss here is uh, the non-agency residential mortgage-backed securities in this video. The non-agency mortgage-backed securities. The underlying mortgage loans for non-agency securities can be for any type of real estate property. There are security backed by 1 to 4 single-family residential mortgages with the first lien on the mortgage property. There are non-agency securities backed by other types of single-family residential loans. These include home equity loan backed security and manufactured housing loan backed securities. Our focus here will be on these 1 to 4 single-family residential properties. As with the agency mortgage-backed security, the servicer is responsible for the collection of interest and principal. The servicer also handles delinquencies and foreclosures. Typically, there will be a master servicer and then sub-servicers. The main differences between the agency and non-agency securities is the underlying mortgage loans. For the agency securities, those loans were those that conform to the underwriting standards, as we already said. This is only conforming loans are included in pool that are collateral for agency mortgage securities. The three main underwriting rules are the maximum loan to value ratio, then maximum payment to income ratio, and the maximum loan amount. The loan to value ratio is the ratio of the amount of the loan to the market value or the appraised value of the property. The lower the LTV, the greater the protection afforded. So let's suppose if you took a 90% of loan for the house's value, then it's a greater risk for default. So if you default, the bank have to recover 90% of the house's value to recover its loan amount. But let's say if your loan to value ratio is 50%, then bank only have to recover 50% of the amount. Empirical studies of residential mortgage loan have found that LTV is a key determinant. Typically, the loans for non-agency securities are non-conforming mortgage loans that fail to qualify LTV and the other two conditions. These two conditions. Such loans are referred to as jumbo loans. Loan that fail to qualify because of the first two underwriting standards expose the lender to greater credit risk than conforming loans. There are specialized lenders who provide mortgage loans to individuals who fail to qualify for a conforming loan because of their credit history. These specialized lenders classify borrowers by credit quality. Let's say borrower A, B, C, and D. A borrower or those are viewed as having the best credit because such borrowers are referred to as prime borrowers and others as subprime borrowers. So, what are the differences between agency and non-agency backed securities? Non-agency security can be either passed through or CMOs, is for the agency securities we have discussed. In agency market, CMOs are created from pools of pass-through securities. In contrast, in non-agency, CMOs are created from unsecuritized mortgage loans. Since a mortgage loan not securitized as a pass-through is called a whole loan, non-agency CMOs also called whole loan CMOs. The major difference is with the guarantees. With non-agency securities, there are no explicit or implicit government guarantee of payment of interest and principal as there is for the agency securities. The absence of any such guarantee means that the investor in non-agency security is exposed to credit risk. Then the credit agencies, credit rating agencies rate those bonds in terms of credit risk and award their credit ratings. Because of the credit risk, all non-agency securities are credit enhanced. We will talk about credit enhancement in our future chapters. By credit enhancement, simply we means that additional support against default must be obtained. The amount of credit enhancement needed is determined relative to a specific rating desired for security rating agency. There are two general types of credit enhancement, internal and external. We describe each of them in our future videos. That's all about this. Thank you.